And a bit about yourself. So you were born in London.
No, I was born in Doddinghurst in Essex.
Oh, born in Essex.
Yeah.
My
Yes. Whereabouts?
County, Colchester.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
So North Essex.
Yes.
We don't have to press really.
Yeah.
Romford's in Ilford as well.
My mum's from Romford. You know.
Oh, is it?
My dad was from Tottenham, but they moved out after the war. You know, as soon as you were allowed to sell your houses, you know, they had sort of a terraced house, you know, respectively, and sold up and moved up to Doddinghurst and Romford, and then my parents in 1972 sold up in Essex and moved to Norfolk, a little village in Norfolk, had about 250 people in it. So I grew up in a little rural village, just on the borders of Essex and Suffolk. Norfolk and Suffolk. Yeah, Diss. Yes. Well, I went to school at Diss.
Oh,
yes, yeah. And it was called Garbolsham or Garbersham, if anyone's listening who's from there. Garbersham, yes.
So you haven't got too much of the...
No. Well, I live next door to Australians in Norfolk, so if there's any hint, there's going to be a mixture of all of those things in there somewhere.
And so when did you move back to the capital?
As soon as I could, really. I mean, I tried to work at various businesses. I worked on building sites. I laid concrete with Bernard Matthews for his turkey huts, up in Norfolk. When he was already in the early mid-70s when I first started doing that sort of job in school holidays. Already quite a wealthy man, and got really going. And I'd peeled onions and bought myself a moped for six weeks during the summer. I picked mushrooms. There was like various little factories that all the kids were allowed to go and work at. And you'd earn your £12 or £15 a week and save that up. And I've still got the little moped I had. It was a Gorelli Tiger Cross, and it's just been restored. I had someone restore it for me. And basically I worked on building sites, and then I worked for a tool hire and tried to sort of get in with the people there, but no one really wanted to even tell you anything about how to run a business. I don't know whether they saw you as a competitor, right? And you just wanted to, sort of hone my skills really and see if I could do it. But then there was a friend of the guy who was at the tool hire. Just had a little tool selling business, and I started that up, much like the Snap-on sort of arrangement. People go around in vans, so we started all that up, and we were doing pretty well in that area. And then I thought, I'm not getting any help here, so I left, came down to London, got a job at my brother's firm that was working on a building site for £70 a week, and that was half what I was getting in Norfolk. And crashed on some people's floor for 20 quid a week for about a month or 2 months, and then eventually had enough to rent a room and so on, and carried on from there. And my first job was in Hoxton, so you can imagine coming from leafy Norfolk and getting out at Shoreditch Underground Station as it was in 1986. I mean, it was just running with water and damp and mould and God knows what coming down those big walls that were there, and just stepping out into what was really a very neglected part of East London at that point. It was quite a leather land down there at one time. I'm not sure if it's still quite that in Brick Lane as you walk out the entrance.
Yeah, there's a
fair bit still there. Yeah, well, they were all, it was really completely run down, and it was pretty much, the bomb damage was still there, just like bits of waste ground and a few units on there, and I think Houndsditch Business Machines had a big sort of place there, which I think I went to for an interview at some point. I don't think they would take me on. So I had to walk up to Hoxton to work on a horrible building site up there. Yeah.
And so when did you first come over?
86. I came back when I was 24. As soon as I really could, as soon as it wasn't working out in Norfolk the way I thought it was. I thought, let's go and give London a try. So my brother was working down here, so.
And then moved further east?
I lived in Upton Park.
Okay.
Yeah, for about 5 or 6 months. And then a friend of mine who I'd known in Norfolk, and he was a black guy. He was the only black kid in the school in Norfolk, and he was my sort of best mate. Yeah, and he was the most popular boy in the school. It was absolutely amazing, isn't it? Most popular boy in the school. He was a great guy, a good guy really. And he was always a bit of an entrepreneur, wanted to do this, and we always used to talk about these ideas. So we used to fire each other up for business ideas and what we could do, in Norfolk, and had no idea of how to start it or anything. And he knocked on my door. I hadn't seen him for about 3 years, and I think he was selling fax machines or something. And he said, I'm earning, I think it was £13,000 a year, and I was like, I didn't know anybody could earn £13,000 a year, and I was on 70 quid a week, 150 maximum. Just thought that was an incredible amount. And he said, well, let's go and look for a job for you. So we got the newspapers that weekend, went up to his house in Benfleet, and we looked through and found this job at Gastana, and that was it. Within 3 months I was working for them, and 2 years after being a successful salesman there, I went to work for the competition, who were worse than them, and I thought, I can do this myself. Set the business up with 500 quid in the bedroom of my house. I had 2 telephone lines coming in with 2 answer phones attached to them, and off I went. That was it. Within 18 months we were in a 2,000 square foot unit. And then about 3 years later I bought this place at the bottom of the market. Yeah, but nobody would give me any money to buy it. I had to put a 30-something% deposit down, so we basically had to sort of negotiate very carefully with our suppliers at that point, because nobody was getting paid, because I cleared the entire bank account out to pay the deposit. But fortunately it worked.
Not someone who minds risks then.
No, it was more like a little bit of an unofficial loan, but we didn't. I don't think anybody went past sort of 90 or 100 days. But as money came in, we paid them, and then pretty much we got ourselves going again. But luckily it halved our overhead moving here, so that was the important thing. And so that money went straight back out to suppliers, and they knew what we were doing. I'd said to them, look, this is what's going to happen. Don't think we're not trying to pay you, but we've just done this. Nobody will give us a penny against this. We've got to put a huge deposit down to get a commercial mortgage, and off we went. So here we are still.
You're still here, what was it, 10, 15 years on?
It's 93 I bought this, 1993, yeah.
And how long have you lived in the Isle of Dogs?
93, I think I bought this in the December, and then I bought a flat in the January or something. I can't remember, it could be the other way round, I can't remember now, but either way they were within a few months of each other. And I moved from Leytonstone, I'd moved to Leytonstone at that point.
So what did you first make of it?
The Isle of Dogs, well, I don't know if you still remember, because Canary Wharf was still, in full swing there, but it was just every other or every third vehicle was a huge truck, taking rubble and stuff away. I mean, the road surface was terrible down there. I mean, it was destroyed, many times over, and it wasn't until, I don't know, probably getting on for the late 90s that actually did up all the roads down there. I mean, I seem to remember in 86, there being a little bridge going across the Isle of Dogs that was just like a little pontoon bridge. It was single file going across, and like a dirt road, where the Barclays Bank is the other side, coming round with, if you want to go to Canary Wharf the other side. That was more just like a dirt track. I just remember it being an unmade up road there, but I've not found any old photographs. I just had this impression it was, like a little single file bridge, but I've not been able to find anything historically about it. But that was before I moved there. I just used to go over there just because I was intrigued by the whole Docklands sort of thing that was floating around.
How many changes have you seen?
That was huge.
Just on the Isle of Dogs, never mind, even up to Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
In terms of the people and development.
Yeah, well, the people, it seems like, near the river, that tends to be the part that's changed, whereas the other side of, the road there, Manchester Road and Preston's Road, tends to be more the people who are there for a very long time, the old dockers, families and so on. And it's great, we've got a fabulous history. And ironically, I mean, I live it was one of Barrett's sort of showcase development over there when they, in 1984, I think they built a block of flats that I live in, so you can imagine it's sort of a Barrett sort of place. But it was on the site, I found an old map, and it was on the site of Osborne House, my name being Osborne. Isn't that, how bizarre is that? It was something knocked down in the 1880s, and they built out of that.
And family man, I saw
yes, yeah, got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. So there's twins. We just had twins going back in November.
So
a boy and a girl.
You just turned out again.
Sorry.
You just had the kids.
Yes, yeah. My oldest is 3.5. She'll be 4 in May. Yeah. The boy's 2, and the other 2 were 3.5 months now.
You've got an election campaign to run in twins.
Well, it's if I get up, they get me up in the night. I mean, I've got to admit, my wife does most of that because she's got the feeding equipment. I haven't. I tend to get on the computer and do stuff, for the campaign and then feel a bit sleepy, go back to bed again.